Okay, we're live.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our April 20th second live streaming of the Town Council meeting. I'm going to begin, like we typically do, with a Pledge of Allegiance and ask you to remain standing for a moment of silence for all of those families and individuals impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. We will begin with public comment. And this portion of the meeting is specifically set aside for comments from the public who are asked to limit their comments to 2 minutes. Any person interested in providing public comment should email publicmeetings@rockyhillct.gov, and you will be provided with a link to attend the Zoom remote meeting, and you will also receive instructions on how you will participate. So I'm thinking at this time, we have not been alerted of anyone in the queue for public comment. Just going to give that a few seconds. One moment. Seeing the chat.
Thank you.
Okay. So just confirming that we have no one in the queue for this evening, so we will move along to appointments and resignations. Councilor Duff?
Nothing from our side.
Okay.
We have no appointments or resignations to
Okay.
report.
Thank you. Moving on to the approval of the minutes, the Town Council meeting April 6th, which you have those minutes in your packet. Do I have a motion to approve those?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the April 6th, 2020 Town Council meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And I'm going to do a roll call vote so that the secretary can put that in properly. So I'm just going to begin in the panels. Councilor Greenspan,
Aye.
Councilor Malero,
Aye.
Councilor Levine,
Aye.
Councilor Sharma,
Aye.
Councilor Thoreau,
Aye.
Councilor Prakash,
Aye.
Councilor Duff,
Aye.
Councilor Manuel.
Aye.
Okay, myself will vote aye. Okay. Moving on to subcommittee reports, why don't we begin with A, finance?
Sure. I think I'll be covering most of the agenda tonight with our finance meeting. The finance meeting was held remotely on Thursday, April 16th. The big item from our finance meeting was the governor's executive order 7S section 6, referring to property tax deferment or a low interest program, which is under new business on tonight's agenda. The Finance Committee had a great discussion on this. We went through all the rules that we believe we understand. Mayor Muratis and I spoke prior to the meeting, so she was very supportive of moving forward with this. We also spoke to John Mayer, both as town manager and acting finance director, as well as the town finance staff, to make sure we had a good understanding of the executive order. And tonight we'll be talking about it again under new business, but the Finance Committee unanimously moved this forward as a property tax deferment program for 90 days. Also under finance, state aid to municipalities, the State Bond Council right before our meeting actually approved the bond resolutions to put money into the towns. The Mashantucket Pequot grant was received in the month of March for $71,182. Our ECS money is due in April in the amount of $2,319,243. And our municipal project grant is due in June, also in the amount of $221,199. Under our capital and non-recurring expenditures, we received a distribution from Mira for $32,981. We completed the Mosier IT support project for $47,320. And there's an electronic sign being installed at Rocky Hill High School that was supported $15,000 from the Rocky Hill High School Football Boosters Club and a matching $15,000 non-recurring expenditure from the Board of Education. The revenue and expense items were all in line with being through 3/4 of the year, so most of our expenditures are right at about 75%. Also on the consent agenda tonight, we have a motion to pass the architectural agreement for Stevens Roof project. The last item, I guess, also on the agenda tonight is our budget workshop schedule, which we went through briefly at our meeting and we moved it forward here for further discussion. Our next meeting, which I'm going to make an assumption will probably be done remotely, will be on May 14th.
Okay, thank you. Subcommittee report, government operations.
Government operations, subcommittee has not met since our last town council meeting. We are scheduled to meet on Monday, May 4th at 6 p.m. and assuming we do so, it would most likely be remotely as well.
Thank you. Public
If
safety.
I could, Jeff, just a brief update that on the Rocky Hill High School stairs, the shop drawings are being reviewed right now, so they've been completed by the contractor and believe they're being reviewed by the town and its architect. So that's moving along because those need to be precast so that depending on when school closes, we're planning on starting in middle of June, but things change, we might move the schedule up.
Okay, great. And at this point, we expect to still have those in place by the start of the next school year, right? If all goes as planned.
Yes.
Okay, public safety.
Public safety did meet tonight, its regularly scheduled meeting at 5:30. We were able to get or keep the agenda similar to the last public safety meeting that we had, which featured, and this time also featured, the Connecticut Central Health District. Charles Brown gave us a lengthy state of the affairs. And while the curve is flattening, it is flattening wider than sharper. So it's doing that type of thing and not this type of thing. And he feels that the Hartford County, the 4 towns of the health district is serving is done very well throughout this this wave that's coming up from New York City and hitting us. So it was said during the public safety report of Charles Brown that we are still peaking and that we may not really actually see the peak for a little bit longer, maybe out to May 15th. So we may not be peaking just yet. We're still in an acceleration period. But the good news is the vaccines and the drugs are in the pipeline. That is still a 12-month proposition. So social distancing, washing hands and face, not touching face, are still the order of the day. Parks are still only for joggers, walkers, and folks practicing social distancing, not sports or organized activities or gathering centers. The order of the day is going to be for everyone wearing masks out in the general public. The governor has an executive order that takes effect today requiring that. And we did discuss a little bit more in depth the use of the more commonplace now, the cloth masks that everyone is seeing out in the public. And the idea is that maybe you want to have 1 or 2 or 3 of those masks and put them into a rotation. So you're wearing one, you wash it, warm water and soap, and then dry it out. And you're wearing the next one, and then you rotate them through like that. And you should be doing that every day with your cloth mask. So so wash your mask, wash your cloth mask, wear them, and those are good and recommended for everyone going out into the general public. The fire department, the police department, and the EMS reported really good standing. As far as EMS has nobody offline, nobody contracting the virus or sick. Police has had, I believe, 6 officers going through at varying times different stages of quarantining, but they're all back to work. They're in full force. And fire has not reported any, and they are all reporting good supply, adequate supply for the medium future for all their PPEs, their personal protection equipment, gloves, masks, gowns. So that's the good news. We feel comfortable that they're on top of it. Call count is down significantly for the fire department. Understandably, they had 1 house fire. Other than that, it's very quiet. And police are down significantly on call count. Let's see if I can give you the number. They were down 37%, 1,200 calls less than this time last year. So they're down, and they're certainly appreciative of the lighter workload in that respect. The next scheduled public safety meeting will be May 18th. That's the report.
Okay, thank you. Senior Liaison.
Senior Liaison did not meet last month, but we are going to hold a virtual meeting this coming Monday, the 27th at 5 p.m. And primarily it will be an opportunity for Human Services and Senior Services to provide an update to members of the Rocky Hill community as well as the senior community.
Okay. Land acquisition and farmland preservation.
The Land Acquisition Farmland Preservation Committee meeting was canceled for tonight due to just lack of agenda items. We will have a next regularly scheduled committee meeting for May 18th at 6:15 usually. And I can report though that our Economic Development Commissioner has received bids from local farmers for their involvement in getting involved in a lease to operate the farm at Streska Farm, and is currently in the process of drafting, getting a draft lease together for those farmers to sign with the town, and it'll come before council for their review first in draft form. Should have that by next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Liaison to the state rep and senator.
Oh, no reports from the state rep or the state senator. Representative Wood continues to file daily reports based off of the numbers of the governor's updated report. So we're appreciative of the coronavirus updates.
School liaison.
The school liaison did not meet, but it has a regularly scheduled meeting for next week, Monday, the 27th, 5:45 p.m. So no report as of now.
Okay, thank you. And then Economic Development Subcommittee.
No meeting and no report.
Moving on to the consent agenda, approval of the architect agreement, Stevens School roof. So you could just go ahead and vote on this.
Make a
I'll
motion to approve the consent agenda.
the architect agreement for Stevens School roof and HVAC replacement project.
Second.
Okay, we will do roll call, all in favor. Alan Greenspan,
Aye.
John Malero, Jeff Levine.
Aye.
Ed Sharma,
Aye.
Mimi Thoreau,
Aye.
Pankaj Prakash, Christoph,
Aye.
John Emmanuel,
Aye.
Lisa Murata, aye. The motion carries. Moving on to old business discussion, possible action of the community/senior center.
The Public Building Commission met last Monday. We did a Zoom meeting with the architect as well as our owner's rep. The owner's rep and the architect said they've been getting requests from some of the contractors that are interested in bidding on extending the bid date, which was scheduled to come in on this Thursday, the 23rd. And PBC agreed to have the bid moved to the 28th, Tuesday. The understanding is that on the 30th, the architect and owner's rep would review the bids and basically going out for a general contractor. It's more of a bottom line cost. That's the driver of this. So they were going to meet on the 30th and award it to one of the contractors that bid on the project. And the intention is to bring it to the town council meeting on May 4th for a presentation from the architect and the owner's rep on how the project stands, and then a recommendation and award of the contract so that we can, the contract to the general contractor, so that we can get this project started early in May.
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. Moving on to new business. A, discussion possible action, property taxes deferment program or low interest program.
Would you like a motion? Or motion to
Well, I think there should be discussion first.
discussion
before,
first? Yep.
Before there's any motion about which direction.
Well, I think John needs to make a presentation first.
Yes, a couple of weeks ago, the governor released executive order, I think it's 7S, which offered two options available to taxpayers, property taxpayers in towns in Connecticut. One is a deferment program, which would allow taxpayers an extra 60 days on top of the normal 30 days to pay their taxes at no interest rate. So I'm focusing more on the July billing. There is some things to do with some prior outstanding bills with the interest rates, but it's easier to stick into this one. So in this option here that was discussed at the Finance Committee, that the bills would go out as normal, a July 1st date, but they would have until probably October 1st to make their payment without being charged interest. I believe it was for all real property, personal property, and motor vehicle taxes as well. And the other option was reducing the interest rate charged to delinquent tax bills from 18% down to 3%. And that would go from the July 1st due date. So they would get the first 30 days grace period, but then they would have to pay a 3% interest after that until October 1st. And then if they don't pay by that date, then the interest rate goes back to 18% on October 2nd. And Alan, I don't know if you want to take over to the decision the Finance Committee made, or you want me to?
Sure, I could jump in and give some of the discussion we had, and Chris, Jeff, if you might want, if I missed something, please, jump in and join me on it. Basically, there's the two programs. The deferment gives taxpayers an additional time to pay the bill, regardless if they had a COVID-19 related response. It's going to be a blanket opportunity. So all residents will be given the same opportunity. And part of the reason we opted to do that is, one, it's very difficult to validate whether or not somebody has had a financial hardship. Number two, we're still under a social distancing protocol, and we don't want people coming into town hall if they shouldn't be. So those were two of the reasons we went with the blanket. And we wanted the third, if there's the way to put a third to it, is we wanted to make sure that we got the information out to everybody equally. And this way it'll be part of the bill that goes out. It won't be some people didn't know, and those pieces. The low interest rate portion was another option that was discussed. The problem with we felt the problem with the low interest rate portion is if you offer a deferment, you don't have to offer a low interest rate, because people wouldn't be electing to pay interest when they could opt to defer and pay no interest. And since we do semi-annual tax bills, we're not doing quarterly bills. We don't have many individuals that fall into a rate that would have interest accruing at this time. Also, we didn't want, even though the interest rate may be relatively low, we didn't want to pile onto somebody's existing debt load and say, hey, it's just another $30, $40. Well, when you're trying to make the decision to pay your bills or buy groceries, that $30, $40 may make a difference. So that was kind of the discussion we had at the Finance Committee meeting. And Chris, Jeff, if I missed anything, please add in.
Yeah, I think you covered it pretty well. The intention was that everybody becomes part of this program by default. Some people don't like asking for help. Some people might not know about the program. Some people just might not have time to go to town hall. This seemed like the safest and easiest way to extend the largest benefit from everybody. Of course, if you pay it as part of your mortgage, or if you have the ability to pay, that would be fine too. The only thing, Alan, I think that you didn't necessarily touch on was that we reviewed the funding aspect from in terms of what the impact looks like from the town's finances, which from a cash flow standpoint, we should be fine. But I don't know if you want to talk more about that.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. I did not cover that. John Mayer in his finance director's hat ran some projections on where we would be, and we will make it through October. We may defer a couple of payments along the way, but we do have the ability to continue to pay our bills, make payroll with the deferment option. So thank you for adding that. And I think that's all I have on it.
And the other thing is the council has to make a decision tonight, because the state or the Office of Policy and Management wants to know which option the town chose, and it's due back by April 25th.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to move forward with the governor's executive order 7S, section 6, municipality program election for deferment of property taxes for a 3-month period.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Did you raise your hand, Mimi?
No, I'm sorry. just taking me off mute.
All right. I just want to comment that I think that this is a very important and a much needed system of relief for our taxpayers. And, any little bit that we can do to help sort of reduce that burden over the next few months is going to be helpful, particularly if we can absorb it and not feel that much strain. And it is, I think, worthy of reiterating that, even though the executive order that came down from the governor required that taxpayers demonstrate a hardship, that we are allowed to expand the deferment program. And it sounds like that's exactly what we're doing, which was what was recommended, so that it does apply to all the taxpayers in Rocky Hill without requiring any demonstration of hardship. So that eliminates a lot of pressure. So with that, I will call for a vote via roll call. Mr. Greenspan?
Aye.
Mr. Malero?
Aye.
Mr. Levine?
Aye.
Mr. Sharmat?
Aye.
Ms. Thoreau?
Aye.
Mr. Prakash?
Aye.
Mr. Duff?
Aye.
Mr. Emmanuel?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Thank you. Moving on to subsection B, update of the 2020-2021 proposed budget.
So for last Friday, I turned in the proposed budget to the town clerk, as well as copies have been provided to the town council. And today, the proposed budget was put on the town's website. It's basically a budget that was prepared between the good times and the bad times. We're trying to give probably most likely the worst case scenario of all the things that the town was looking to do between January and this April. One thing was that the Board of Education does their budget hearings back in towards the end of January, and they adopted their budget in mid-March. And included in the proposed budget is the money that was requested by the Board of Education for their operating budget for the school year 2020-21, and also the start of a capital improvement program associated with roofs at the 2 elementary schools as well as Griswold. And there was funding made available for that project to get started next year. That project does qualify for state school construction grant reimbursement at a reimbursement rate of about 46%. So it's almost like a 50-50 split between the cost to the town and the reimbursement from there. But those requests, one was for about $1.9 million for operations and $1.2 million for the roofs. Also in this budget is the start of the debt service payments for the 3 major bond issues that the town issued over the last 2 to 3 years, and the total, I think, around $66 million. That's making up close to 50% of the increase over last year. We do have 2 $30 million bonds out there, close to 30. So when you're looking at 20-year bonds, paying back over 20 years at a $30 million bond, the principal payment alone is over $1 million. And also included in this is the Spratsker Farm purchase as well. And as well on the town side, we did have some increases contractually, salaries related due to union contracts, as well as an increase in our ad valorem tax from MDC, and increase in solid waste disposal, driving the town side up a bit. But we did save on the health insurance side due to lower claim history, as well as transitioning 2 unions from the PPO plan over to the high deductible plan. So I think the town side was around a $500,000 increase. And then at last, the driver behind the town's capital improvement program is associated with the streetscape project on Silestine, Streetscape 3, in which the town is using some of its LoSEP money to match, put in towards the town's match to the construction of the streetscape program. So that was about $400,000, but that's also a wash because we expect to get that money back from LoSEP. So it's sort of a lower one. So I think our net capital improvements are related to continuing the library roof windows replacement program and the roof at fire station number 3. So it is a healthy increase of about 1.7 mils, but that incorporates all that was being requested at the time. And I do believe that the council will review and make appropriate adjustments and so on. So that sort of leads into the next one, which we develop a schedule for the public hearing as well as public workshops. So I'll stop there. If there's any questions or comments, feel free.
Okay, and the budget workshop schedule is attached in the back of the packet, so you guys can take a look at that.
So
Mayor,
if
if I
you want
can,
to,
budget workshop schedule, we did discuss this at finance as well. Because this year we'll probably be doing most of our meetings as virtual meetings, we did want to make sure that we're still going to have a public hearing portion of the meeting. So we will, that is in the schedule. We still do want to have the public have the opportunity to speak on the budget.
And following up on that, John Mayer, if you could speak to how the public could submit comments by the budget or on the budget, both electronically, and I think this year we're doing mail as well.
Unmute, John.
it's making a lot of sense there. Well, what I think we'll follow like the same pattern as we do here, where we'll put in that public comment section where they could email it to public meeting at rockyhillct.gov. Request either to comment verbally or send an email written that will be read at the time of the meeting. Thinking of having it due to publications, dates, as well as number of days at the before you can have a public hearing once the budget is released to the public, is to have it, we're going to publish the hearing on this Thursday, the 23rd, and plan to have the public hearing on April 30th at 7 p.m. And then after that, there's a council meeting on the 4th, but recommend establishing some workshop dates, either the 6th or 7th, as well as the following week, the 12th, the 13th or 14th. And we also need to schedule the Board of Ed to come in and do their presentation as well.
And for folks who might not have email, if they submit written comment, that can just be sent to Town Hall.
Yeah, they should send mail it to 761 Old Main Street and probably put on the envelope, relating to the budget comments or something like that, so that we have an idea where to put it, what pile to put it in.
Any other questions? Okay. All right, moving on to the mayor's report. Put my glasses on.
Do you have a motion to approve the workshop schedule or no?
Well, you may want to just establish a couple dates, or are you planning to have meetings on the 6th and 7th, 12th, 13th, and 14th?
Well, I thought in the past, John, we had a motion, to Jeff's point, to approve the schedule. And then for those meetings that we didn't need, we just canceled as we went along.
Yeah. Okay.
Good point, Jeff.
Okay, why don't we proceed that way?
So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the revised 2020-2021 budget schedule, meetings to be done remotely as budget workshops.
Second.
Okay, we don't need discussion. All in favor, Mr. Greenspan,
Aye.
Mr. Malero,
Aye.
Mr. Levine, Mr. Sharmat,
Aye.
Ms. Thoreau,
Aye.
Mr. Prakash,
Aye.
Mr. Duff,
Aye.
Mr. Emmanuel,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Thank you. Okay. So I just want to start off first just saying thank you to everyone, all of the residents out there and all of the businesses for respecting the social distancing restrictions that we still have in place. And those of you offering pickup services and takeout services, and of course for all of our essential workers, we certainly on behalf of all of us want to thank you for everything that you're doing to keep our community safe. And for all of those folks out there in the community that are getting involved in one way or another, I'm going to just rattle off some of the amazing things that are being done in the out in the public right now. We have a number of students, high school students, I call them student angels, who have been contributing one way or the other. So we have a group called Be the Change, COVID-19, and they are on Instagram, and they're actually making the cloth masks. This is a group of girls, high school girls, and it's Juliana, Elizabeth, and Victoria. Thank you guys, and please visit them if you need a cloth mask, especially now that they are becoming mandatory. There are also a number of groups on social media, sewing groups, who are putting supplies together and sewing the cloth masks. So it's another resource for you out there. If you need a cloth mask, you may want to consider reaching out to some of these groups. If you don't have social media, you can reach out to one of us, and we will hook you up with those groups. I want to thank another gentleman by the name of Tate, another high school student who, if you don't know by now, he's the one who performed an outdoor concert at one of our assisted living facilities, and folks got to watch him from the window, and it was really a spectacular and moving experience for everyone involved. And finally, I want to thank another young person named Ankith, who belongs to an organization called Power of Peace. And along with his organization, he was able to make a generous donation to our local food pantry. So thank you all, students, for everything that you're doing. And if you have a student out there who's contributing, let us know so we can give them a shout out. Thank you to the sign makers out there. I guess there are signs now that you can see Chris, I know you're shaking your head. What did the sign say? Is it a thank you to first responders?
I think it's thank you for essential workers.
I think it is, yes.
Thank you, essential workers.
Yes, so these signs are available for purchase, and they're $10, but the full amount of that price goes to our food pantry. So thank you, organizers of that. And let's see what else. Well, I think by now you all should have received the letter that we sent out. It was a letter that basically talks about all of the resources that are available to you for the next several weeks. If you have questions or you need help with anything, we sent that out, and hopefully that'll give you a little bit of peace of mind moving forward. In terms of new resources in the community, for those who don't know, I spoke with the president of Cisco today, and he was telling me that Cisco is now opening up its doors to the public, and they're doing this with a pick up, stock up sort of program where you can go online and you can decide what you want in terms of groceries and necessities, and follow the ordering and prepayment. And then you actually go to Cisco here at 100 Inwood Road, and you can pick up all of the things that you need. They'll deliver it right to your car. So that's a really another way to help with mitigation strategies and social distancing. And just in terms of what Ed had touched on with respect to what Charles Brown told us from the Central Connecticut Health District, I just want to reiterate, because it's super important for all of us to remember, that we are still in the acceleration phase of this COVID virus. And even though at one point we were anticipating the peak to be sometime in April, we know now that it's going to be sometime in May. But what Mr. Brown explained to us is that's actually really great news, right? Because what it's showing us is that we are stretching out those numbers. So instead of having that peak, like we've seen in a lot of places that are really struggling with the ability to keep up with their hospitals and ventilators and so on, we're actually seeing a different type of curve happening, because we're actually beginning to flatten that line. So it's really, really important now more than ever that you are staying home, staying safe. And at a minimum, if you are out, you are social distancing, because we have a few more weeks to get through this. And then there's going to be a few more weeks to get on that downside, on the downscale. But the most important thing for you to do is social distancing. I can't say it enough. Wear your mask when you go out, and just don't forget about your basic hygiene, your hand washing, the 20 seconds with the soap and water. These are really basic things that are going to keep you safe. And we know that they work. These are important protocols. So the message that we got tonight really is that continue your isolation, because that is keeping the surge at bay. So I want to congratulate all of you for working hard on doing that. I know that it's not easy. And that's my report. And if you want to know those signs, does anyone have the information on how folks can order the signs other than logging into Facebook? I know there's a Facebook page. We will find that information for you, and we'll put it up on our website.
So, right, Facebook is, right now, Facebook is you just do a search on Facebook of Lauren Drapeau, DRAPEAU. You'll get her website, and she is the channel to get the signs that are made by another local resident, Kevin Matthews, and they Venmo. Venmo, the lawns are on the out in front of the house in the lawn. You drive by and pick one up and go. So there's no social interaction. You just if you're able to. Otherwise, we can find another method to help you out. But that right now is the fastest way to connect with the residents that are doing this. I'll try to get. There's not a website for the group.
Okay.
It's just two local folks doing it.
Yeah. So for anyone who's watching from home, if you don't have Facebook and you're interested in a sign, you can just email. If you can't email, you can call Town Hall, and we'll get you that information. You can call the mayor's office and leave a message, and we'll get you that information. Okay. And now we will move on to the town manager's report.
Just to continue on the theme of from March and April, the Human Services Food Pantry received donations from 25 donors for a total of $11,340. And then also on the positive side, our IT department applied for a grant through Pura and received it in a total of $101,834 in something called the PEG-PETIA program. And this money is coming in from Pura, no town match or anything. And it's going to be used to upgrade the cameras and broadcasting equipment in the town council's chambers so it can go up to a high definition, and also work on improving the operation of the cameras and switchers also in that room. So that could be a fast moving grant. We received notice on Friday. We filled out the paperwork and sent it back to them today. And it seems like it's pretty streamlined where it sounds like the work could be started very soon. We do have a contractor lined up to do this. And I guess as soon as we hear back from Pura, if we filled out our paperwork correctly, this project will get moving along to upgrade the town council chamber. Today, the paving of Dividend Road should have got started. Alongside, beside doing Dividend Road, also some of the roads off of that, including Evans Road, Laurel Lane, Lloyd Street, Stanley Court, Wells Road, and Woodland will be milled and paved as well. People should avoid this area between the Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. through 5 p.m. and hopefully it will be done in a few weeks. Also, the engineering and highway department are planning the summer schedule of paving, working around the COVID-19 situation, but the intention is hopefully to do 19 roads this summer. This week is National Library Week, and it was originally scheduled to Cora Belden Library was going to celebrate its 225th anniversary of the founding of the library, but due to the situation, it's been put on hold. But over the years, the library has been located in several places in town until it's settled into its present location about 50 years ago at 33 Church Street. While the building has been closed, the staff has been working on increasing their digital presence, expanding access to digital content, offering online card signups, providing virtual programming for all ages. They've added several thousand ebooks, as well as a live homework helpline. They've been receiving a number of calls, basically for assistance in technological devices. And the library staff also has been helping out with human services, making outbound calls to seniors. While the town hall has been closed to the public, today we had the ducts cleaned, so hopefully that will improve the air quality going forward. And after discussing at the Public Safety Committee meeting with the Health District, they recommend that we cancel the Memorial Day Parade. It's scheduled to go off on May 25th, which is basically 5 days after the current date for schools to continue being closed. So I believe Weathersfield has canceled it, and it's probably a wise decision to do that to keep that public distance in place. And that's it for me. I wasn't muted, right?
John, I had a quick question. A question came up about, or a constituent asked, a lot of people are out there doing yard work with all this free. Has anything changed regarding debris pickup? Sorry. Or
I
going
think,
to the,
I think I think when we had that high windstorm a couple weeks ago, a lot of the residents started moving some of the brush to the curb. And I believe they're putting out on a website, town website, a schedule to bring back that brush pickup service over the next couple of weeks.
and
That's
then also,
basically done by two men, one in a truck and one in the scooper that puts it in the truck, so they keep their distance.
and then for the transfer station and like the mulch pickup, are those active for folks?
At this point in time, we're still keeping the transfer station closed, but the mulch just down the road is available to people. They should be a good pile there, unless a lot of people went and used it this weekend. But mulch is available just down the road on Old Forge.
Thanks.
Yeah, there was
John,
a
I think
out there yesterday.
John, I think the compost pile was virtually gone, I think, but the mulch pile was doing well. I used it myself.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Questions for Mr. Mayor? Okay, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
Okay, and Mr. Greenspan,
Aye.
Mr. Malero,
Right.
Mr. Levine,
Aye.
Mr. Sharma,
Aye.
Ms. Thoreau,
Aye.
Mr. Prakash, Mr. Dove,
Aye.
Mr. Emmanuel,
Aye.
and myself, aye. All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great night. We will see you Monday, May 4th.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
No.
No.
April 28th.
April 28th.
No, excuse me, April 30th. For the public
Upcoming
hearing.
meeting. Oh, public hearing, yeah, public. Hearing. Okay.
For the budget, yep.
If you want, I can do it on mute.
We'll fix it in post.
All right, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.